Hi, welcome to Dark Tales of the Mind. I'm your host, Lucian Graves, and on today's video, we will be exploring the song by Lil Wayne, God Bless America. I write short thriller, thrillers and like psychological thrillers, horror, and occasionally comedy. Uh, but today's video carries a lot of weight to it, especially with what's going on in the world. I want to make things perfectly clear that this is not something that's political. It's nothing like that. Uh, I don't want it to be taken that way. Not now nor ever will you ever get me to speak out of term on my political views. I do not believe that creators should do that. So, with that said, we will get into the story. It began on a Sunday that looked like every other Sunday in a city that had stopped believing in God. No thunder, no trumpet, just the quiet hum of dying neon signs and the slow rot of the American dream. Marcus stood on the balcony of his seventh-floor apartment, staring down at the streetlights bleeding through the fog. Below, a homeless man sang the national anthem to no one in particular, voice hoarse and holy in its brokenness. "Sweet land of liberty," he croaked, clutching an empty bottle like a flagpole of the seeing. Marcus watched him sway. The bottle caught the reflection of a red, white, and blue neon sign flickering across the street. "God bless America," it said, but the K buzzed faintly, just off tempo, like a bad joke at a funeral. The sirens came at dawn. Not emergency sirens, the ones from the base, those long, crawling howls that sounds like the sky itself is trying to warn, like the sky's trying to warn itself. Marcus had been a soldier once, infantry. Sand still lived in the creases of his boots like a ghost that couldn't be washed off. He woke up to the sound of an alarm, and for a second he thought he was back in Fallujah. The same smell of burning tires, the same screams under the rubble that didn't belong to any particular mouth. But when he opened his eyes, he was home, and home looked worse than war. His television showed riots, his window showed smoke, and his own reflection showed a man whose medals meant nothing to the country that made them. He poured a glass of whiskey into a chipped coffee mug and whispered, "Judgment Day or a fire drill? I guess we'll find out." The tremor started small, hands first, then jaw. Then the memories came like shrapnel, sharp and random. He saw blood on the asphalt, a child holding a balloon that burst midair like a grenade. He saw his commanding officer praying with a cigarette instead of a rosary. He saw homecomings that felt like funerals. And in between it all, he heard whispers, not from the dead. No, he made peace with them. These came from the living, from the television anchors, who smiled too wide, from politicians who said freedom like it was a product from an advertisement and told to him to feel again. "Buy salvation," one billboard said, "half off." He turned off the TV and went outside. The air was thick with tear gas. The city was protesting again, though no one seemed to know what for. Signs read, "No justice, no peace." But no one looked angry anymore. They looked tired and hollow. And that's when Marcus saw it, a butterfly, a single fragile blue-winged thing, fluttering through the smoke. He froze. It shouldn't have been alive. Not here, not now, but it was. And when it landed on the barrel of a riot cop's gun, Marcus felt something inside him split. He followed it, of course he did, through alleys littered with propaganda and half-eaten prayers, through puddles reflecting flames and stars that refused to shine. The butterfly drifted, patient, mocking. It would land just long enough for him to reach, and then lift off, teasing like hope itself. He trailed it until he reached the river, that sick black vein that used to carry barges, but now carried memories in plastic. That's where he saw her, a woman in a red coat, standing by the railing, cigarette trembling in her hand. "You shouldn't be here," she said. Without turning, "Neither should you," Marcus replied. She laughed, low and sharp. You think this is real? Her face, when she turned, was his ex-wife's, except no, it wasn't, not exactly. Too young, too clean, too alive. Go home, she whispered. They're coming for you again. Who? The ones who wear badges and call it mercy. The ones who say you fought for peace, but pay you in pills. The ones who feed the system the way that priests feed gods. Marcus blinked, and she was gone. Only the butterfly remained. It landed on his shoulder, and when it did, the world changed. He was back in his apartment, but something was wrong. The walls pulsed faintly, breathing. The television flickered between news footage and his own face, speaking words he didn't remember saying. America the Beautiful, he said on screen, voice calm, where bullets are ballots and soldiers are saints, where God went AWOL and the devil got elected. Marcus screamed at the screen, but his reflection just smiled back. He tore the plug from the wall, but the static stayed. Tomorrow ain't promised today, the voice said. The end of time is like an hour away. And then came the knock, soft, measured, like a heartbeat. He opened the door and saw himself standing there, uniform on, metals polished, eyes burning. You left us, the soldier said. You died, Marcus whispered. Someone had to stay. The next hours or days, he couldn't tell, blurred into noise and blood. He remembered running through the streets, a pistol in one hand, a Bible in the other. He remembered the butterfly landing on corpses and whispering scripture. He remembered seeing cops with no faces, protesters with no mouths, preachers selling faith by the gram. And through it all, that damned neon sign kept glowing, God bless America. He shot it once, it didn't break. He shot it again, still nothing. Then the butterfly flew across the letters, and they flickered for just a moment. He swore it spelled, God left America. They found him at sunrise, kneeling in the middle of Main Street, gun pressed to his temple, smiling faintly. The cops surrounded him, weapons drawn. One shouted, drop it. Marcus looked up at the sky, gray and endless, and whispered, I saw a butterfly in hell today. The gun went off and the butterfly flew away. Later, they'd say it was suicide, another veteran gone crazy, another number for a statistic. But if you listen to the static between news broadcasts, if you stand close enough to the neon sign that still flickers over 8th and Main, you'll hear it whisper, soft, mocking, unending, sweet land of kill 'em all and let 'em die. And every now and then, when the smoke clears just right, you might see it, a butterfly fluttering through the ashes, still alive, still lost, still looking for heaven and hell. I know that this is one of the shorter videos on the channel, but I do appreciate y'all for joining in. This one, like I said, it's kind of heavy, but I do appreciate y'all, and I'm not going to harass you for likes, comments, or subscribes or anything like that. I'm not that kind of person, but if you like what I do, feel free to do so. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good day.